So today we are going to read a lot of interesting stories. So let's get started. So the first story is The Lion's Fear. Once there was a brave lion who only panicked when he heard a rooster crowing. He didn't know why it scared him so. One day he confessed his fear to his friend, the elephant. The elephant laughed. "How can a rooster harm you?" he said. Right then, a group of bees came buzzing around the elephant's ear. Oh dear, cried the elephant. "I hope they don't enter my ear." And the lion laughed and laughed. The next story is The Wild Goose and the Owl. A wild goose and an owl were friends and lived close by. One day, the owl decided to move away. "But you must come and visit me," he said. So, after a few months, the goose decided to visit him. After much effort, he found his house in the hollow of a tree. "Hi, owl, I have come to visit you," he called out. "It's daytime and I have to sleep," the owl replied rudely. At night, the goose was tired and fell asleep. In the morning, a few men stopped near the tree. When the owl returned from his hunting, he did not wake the goose. But the owl's hooting disturbed the men, who thought it was a bad omen. They shot an arrow in his direction. The arrow struck the goose and he died. Now let's go to the next story. A Bundle of Sticks. A farmer lived in a village with his 3 sons. The farmer was always worried because his sons were always fighting with each other. Finally, the farmer called them and gave them a stick each. "Break them," he said. They broke the sticks easily. Then he gave them 3 sticks tied together and asked them to break them. None of them could break them. "See," said the head, "if you 3 come together, nobody can beat you." The farmer's sons realized their mistake and promised never to fight each other. Now, the next story. The Frog and the Mouse. A frog and a mouse were close friends. The frog would often hop out of his pond and visit the mouse in his hole at the bottom of a tree in the forest. But the mouse never went to the frog's pond for a visit. This made the frog angry. "I will force the mouse to come out with me," he thought, and he tied the mouse's leg to his own when the mouse wasn't looking. The mouse had no option but to be dragged to the pond. When the frog jumped in, the mouse went with him. Suddenly the frog saw that the mouse was drowning and quickly brought him back outside. He felt very sorry for his foolishness. He apologized to the mouse and promised never to drag him into the water again. The mouse forgave the frog and they remained friends. Now the next story, The Honest Woodcutter. A woodcutter was cutting wood in the forest when his axe fell into the river. He was very upset. How would he cut wood and sell it in the market now? He prayed to the river god, and the river god appeared with an axe made of gold. "Is this your axe?" "No, Lord, this isn't mine." River god disappeared into the river and came with a silver axe. "Is this yours?" "No, my lord, this isn't mine either." River god disappeared and brought out a wooden axe. "Is this yours?" "Yes," cried the woodcutter happily. River god was happy with his honesty and rewarded him with all 3 axes. Now let's go to the next story. The Lion and the Hare. Once upon a time in a jungle, an old lion was hunting for food. He saw a hare. He was about to pounce on him when he saw a deer. He let the hare go, thinking that a bigger animal like a deer would be better for him. He ran after the deer, but the deer was way too quick for him. So he thought he would go back to the hare, but the hare was gone by then. the lion had to stay hungry. Let's go to the next story, The Pup in the Well. A female dog lived on a farm with her new pups. As the pups grew older, she warned them to not go near the well. But one of the puppies was more curious and adventurous than the rest. One day, when the others weren't looking, he went to the well and peeped inside. He saw his own reflection and thought it was another dog. He barked, and his reflection barked back at him. He was livid and jumped into the well to attack the other dog. Finally, he had to be rescued by the farmer. He promised never to go near the well again. The next story, The Wolf and the Sheep. A wolf lived in the forest. One day, while fighting a bear, he injured himself so badly that he couldn't hunt. When he saw a sheep, he thought he would try and trick her into coming close to him so that he could attack her. He said, "Please, Miss Sheep, I am injured and thirsty. Could you get me some water from the river?" But the sheep was smart and replied, "If I bring you water, you will only drink it after you have made a meal of me. So don't ask me to fetch you any water." The Merchant's Dream. Once a merchant dreamt of a monk. The monk said, "I am your ancestors' wealth. I will come to you tomorrow. Kill me with a stick and claim your money." The next day a monk came to his house. The merchant killed him with a stick. Instantly he turned him into gold coins. A neighbor was watching him. Immediately he went to the monastery and started beating monks with a stick. Some died, others were badly injured, but the merchant saw no gold coins. Instead, he was caught by the soldiers and put into jail. Next story, How a King Got Shoes. Once upon a time, a king wanted to visit every town and village in his country. So he set off on foot. But the roads were rough and hard. By the time he returned home a few months later, his feet were sore. He ordered the men in his kingdom to cover all the roads in the country with soft leather. But his men said, "Your Majesty, to cover so many roads would mean so much leather. We'll have to kill thousands of cows." The king was lost in deep thought. Then the queen said, "Why do you need to cover the roads? Why don't you cover your own feet with soft leather?" And that's how the king got new shoes. He was glad because now he could travel without hurting his feet. Next story, The Honest Prince. An old king wanted to decide upon his successor. He had 3 sons. One day he called them and gave them each some seeds. "Whoever brings up the healthiest plant will succeed me," he said. After a few months, the eldest son brought a huge plant. The second son brought a smaller plant which had beautiful pink flowers. Only the third son brought nothing. He said, "I'm sorry, father, but the seeds you gave me were infertile." The father was very happy with his third son. He said, "I gave all of you infertile seeds, but you were the only honest one. You will be my successor." After his father's death, the honest prince became the new king. Next story, The Sweeper and the Merchant. Once a wealthy merchant was a favorite of a king. However, he was very rude to others who were not as rich and as successful as him. One day, he happened to ill-treat a sweeper. The sweeper decided to take revenge. He waited to sweep the king's chamber when he was pretending to be asleep and mumbled to himself, "What a stupid that rich merchant is. Just because the king likes him, he thinks that the king will never find out he is planning to steal the royal jewels. The king heard him and banned the merchant from the palace from that day. Next story, The Crow and the Quail. A crow and a quail were friends. On the day of the Garuda festival, everyone decided to go to the seashore for celebrations. The two friends also decided to go along with them. Amongst the crowd was a cowherd with a lot of curd on his head. As he walked, the naughty crow fell over his head and pecked at the curd in his pot. He did it a couple of times and then flew away. After a while, the cowherd saw the crow and the quail sitting on the roadside. Instantly he went after them. Frightened, the crow flew away, but the quail was caught and punished only for the company he kept. Next story, The Bull and the Mouse. One day, as the bull grazed about in a field, he heard a pitiful squeak. Looking around, he saw nothing. When the sound came again, he looked down and saw he was standing on the tail of a small mouse. At once he stepped back and the mouse ran off. But the angry mouse wanted to teach the bull a lesson. He saw a wooden cross, took it and hit the bull hard on his nose with it. The bull was furious and ran after the mouse, which escaped. The bull started grazing again and the mouse again attacked him. Again the bull chased him away, but the mouse kept attacking him. At last the tired bull fell into the ground. The mouse attacked him one last time. As the bull thrashed his legs, the mouse said, "How stupid you are! You didn't know that wisdom is more powerful than might." The bull apologized to the mouse. The mouse accepted the apology and did not harass the bull again. Hello friends, today we are going to read 4 interesting stories. The first story is Bob and the Funny Log. Bob is off to his job when he sees an odd-looking log. Bop, bop, bop. The log hops around. What is going on? Wonders Bob. I should find out. Bob starts to jog behind the log. Woof, woof, woof. A dog joins Bob in his jog. All of a sudden, they get lost in the fog. Woof, woof, woof. Bob follows the dog's bark and finds the hopping log. Bop, bop, bop. The log hops as Bob and the dog try to catch it. Phew, it is so hot, says Bob as he spots a pond. The hopping log finally comes to a stop at the pond. The dog runs ahead of Bob and sniffs the log. A curious Bob carefully prods the log with a stick he finds near the pond. Hop, hop, hop. Suddenly, a lot of frogs jump out from inside the log. An army of hopping frogs was carrying the log all along, says Bob. These words have the short O sound in them. Bob, off, job, odd. log, hop, hopping, on, jog, dog, lost, fog, hot, spot, pond, stop, prod, frog, lot, bob. Now let's go to our second story, The Little Red Egg. A little red hen laid a little red egg. The little red egg was the strangest thing that anyone had ever seen. The little red egg had little red legs. A naughty boy called Ted came to the farm. He saw the little red egg resting with its red mother hen. Mother hen went away, so Ted went to get the little red egg. The scared egg went pitter-patter on its little red legs. Ted ran after it. The little red egg went and hid in the sheep's pen. But Ted fed the sheep and they led him to the little red egg. Next, the little red egg went and hid in the farmer's keg. But Ted pulled out the peg from the keg and found the little red egg. Then the little red egg ran and hid in the lion's den. So Ted got some men to catch the lion with a net, but they could not do it. So the little red egg stayed in the lion's den and became the lion's friend. These words have the short E sound in them. Hen, egg, red, ever, legs, Ted, resting, get, went, pen, fed, friend, led, next, keg, peg, then, den, men, net. Now friends, let's read our third story. That's Fun Under the Sun. Gus and his mum want to have some fun. They want to go to a sunny beach. They wake up early the next day to take the bus to the beach. Gus and his mum hum a song all the way in the bus. When they reach the beach, Gus wants to run on the sand. "Oh, what fun," says Gus as he takes off his shirt. He runs towards the water. Gus's mum rolls out her mat and relaxes. After some time, Gus puts on his cap and joins his mum. They both eat butter and buns. Gus tugs at his trunks and he is uncomfortable. Gus's mum asks him to turn around. Oh dear, Gus has a sunburn on his back. Gus's mum rubs some lotion on it and gives him a tight hug. Gus feels much better now. After so much fun under the sun, Gus and his mum go home happily. These words have the short U sound in them. Gus, mum, fun, sunny, up, bus, hum, run, butter, bun, trunk, tug, turn, sunburn, rub, hug, much, under, uncomfortable, sun. Now friends, let's read our fourth story. That's Dan Gets a Pet. It is Dan's birthday. What would you like for your birthday? Dan's parents asked him. I want a friend to play with. I want a pet, says Dan. So Dan's parents take him to a pet shop to get him a pet. Dan puts down his bag. He looks at all the birds and animals in the shop. Dan is confused. He does not know what to get. Dan sees a pup, but it makes him sneeze. Dan sees a frog, but he hates the color green. Dan sees a fish tank, but he cannot play with the fish. Dan is sad as he does not like any pet in the store. He picks up his bag to leave, but it suddenly feels heavy. When Dan opens his bag, he finds a cat sleeping in it. I want this cat, says Dan excitedly. Dan's parents are happy that Dan got a pet he liked. These words have the short A, E, I, O and U sounds in them. A. Dan, an, at, sad, bag, cat, happy. E sound. Get, pet, when, friend. I sound. Him, is, it, fish, pick, his, in, this. O sound. For, shop, not, frog, got. U sound. Up, but, pup. Hello friends, so let's read some interesting stories today. The first story is The Cunning Judge. One day, two hungry cats found a large fruit on the road. The first one grabbed it and tore it into two. Unfortunately, one piece was smaller than the other. The second cat complained that she had got the smaller piece. They decided to ask someone to be the judge. A monkey was passing by. They asked him to act as a judge for them. He compared the two pieces and said, "Yes, I can make them equal for you." He took a bite from the larger piece and now that one became smaller. The monkey took a bite from the other one and that one became smaller. He went on doing it until he had finished the entire fruit. The cats regretted their decision. The next story. The Lion's Breath. One day, the lioness woke up and told the lion to do something about his bad breath. The lion felt embarrassed and decided to check with his subjects if that was indeed true. First, he called a sheep and asked, "Do I have bad breath, sheep?" The sheep was honest. He said, "Yes, Your Majesty, your breath does smell bad." The lion was angry. He killed the sheep and ate him up. Next, he called the cunning fox and asked him the same question. The fox hesitated for a moment and said, "Actually, Your Majesty, I have been suffering from a bad cold. I have lost my sense of smell. I cannot answer your question." The lion let him go. The clever fox managed to save her life by not antagonizing the powerful lion. Next story. Two cats. Once there was a skinny cat because her mistress fed only small morsels from her food. She noticed how the cat who lived in the neighbor's house was fat. One day she went over to find out her secret. The other cat said, "I visit the royal palace daily and steal from the royal dining table. You can come with me tomorrow if you like." The thin cat agreed. By some mischance, that very day the king asked his servants to trash all the stray cats in the palace. When the two cats reached the palace, the other cats told them about the king's orders. The fat cat ran back home, but the thin cat decided to take a chance and go inside. She was caught by the royal servants and they gave her a sound beating. The next story, The Pigeons and the Crow. A flock of pigeons lived on the same tree as a crow. Every morning they left their home to find food. In the evening they returned home to sleep. The crow was more intelligent than the pigeons. One day he saw a hunter laying a trap for the pigeons. He had used grains as a bait to attract the pigeons to his net. He wants to warn the pigeon, but they refused to listen to him. The pigeons sat down on the ground to peck at the grains and were trapped in the hunter's net. Then the king of pigeons asked for the crow's help. With his idea, all the pigeons flew off together with the net. They landed near the place where their friends, the mice, lived. The mice chewed away the net and set them free. The next story, Sour Grapes. Once, a fox was passing a vineyard when he spotted a bunch of grapes hanging from a branch. He was tempted to eat those grapes but couldn't reach them. The fox tried to jump up to them many times, but it was futile. He tried to throw a stone at them but missed them every time. After many such attempts, he failed. The fox gave up. He muttered, going away. "I don't need these grapes. I am sure they are quite sour." The next story, The Unhappy Dog. A small dog lived in a village. Though it was a small village, the dog found enough food to feed himself. However, once the village had to face famine and the dog had to leave for the city. In the city, he landed at a house where the owners always left their door open. The dog would go inside, eat to his heart's content, and come out happy. One day, as he came out, a group of stray dogs saw him and attacked him. They left him wounded and in great pain. The dog realized that it was time to go back home. He quietly returned home to his own village to protect his life. The next story, The Pig and the Sheep. A pig roamed in the same pasture as a flock of sheep. One day the farmer saw him and captured him. He squealed as if he was being butchered. The sheep saw him and laughed. He went on screaming and kicking, but the farmer tugged him firmly under his arm and began to walk home. The sheep followed. "Look at you," one of the sheep said, "making such a fuss for nothing. The farmer catches us once in a while, but none of us screams like you are doing." "Well," said the pig, "when the farmer catches you, he only wants the wool. He has caught me, which means he wants meat. You would scream too if this were the case with you." The sheep stopped laughing and followed silently. Hello friends! So today we are going to read some very interesting stories. So let's get started. The first story is The Rabbit's Fear. A young rabbit was sitting under a bell tree when a bell fruit fell down on his head. He was brooding about his own problems. When the fruit fell, he looked upwards at the sky and said, "Oh God, the sky is about to fall." He began to run. When other rabbits asked him what the matter was, he said, "Run, the sky is about to fall." They too started running. Slowly, all the animals in the jungle were running with them. Then a lion stopped them and asked what the matter was. The rabbits told them. "Who saw the sky falling?" asked the lion. The young rabbit stepped up. The lion asked to be taken to that spot. Once they reached there, the lion saw the bell fruit that had fallen on his head and showed it to him. The rabbit felt very silly and apologized to everyone. Now the next story. The Elephant and the Jackal. The next story, The Elephant and the Jackal. Once there lived an elephant who was very arrogant. Nobody liked him, but he still wanted to be the king of the jungle. One day, a jackal was roaming around in search of food. He saw the elephant. He thought it was an excellent opportunity to get rid of the arrogant elephant. He went to the elephant and said, "Sir Elephant, I live in the forest in the next village. The animals there are looking for a new king. Will you come with me and be our new king?" The elephant was thrilled. "Of course," he said, and started marching happily with the jackal. On the way, there was a pit covered with grass. The elephant did not notice it and fell inside. He called for help, but the jackal did not come. The elephant lay inside it, injured for many days, and then died. The third story, The Lion and the Cat. Once there was a lion who kept a mouse for a pet. He was usually happy to indulge his pet when he played. Slowly, the mouse began to play on his body when he was asleep. This annoyed the lion. Soon, he was so annoyed that he thought of getting rid of the creature. So, he reached a cat. He went to a large cat and said, "Please, Mr. Cat, will you come with me to a place where there are many mice? And you can feed on one every day." The cat was happy to accompany the lion to his cave. When the mouse saw the cat, he was very scared. He hid in his hole for a few days. But when he couldn't control his hunger anymore, he came out. The cat pounced on him and killed him. Then he waited and waited for many days. He realized there were no more mice. The lion had tricked him. Instead of complaining to the lion, he left the cave quietly. The next story, The Fake Sage. A king once had a wise minister to advise him on everything. One day, when the minister was away in another city for work, a fake sage arrived in the kingdom. He duped people with his tricks and made a name for himself. Soon the king invited the fake sage to the court and gave him a prominent position. By that time, the minister returned. He realized what had happened. When he met the man, he said, "So what special powers do you have?" The fake sage said, "If you lock me in the prison, I can leave my body and take the form of an angel, go to the heaven and return within the day." "Then let's do one thing, Your Majesty," said the minister. "Let's burn his body when he's taken the form of an angel. That way, we'll see him as an angel forever." The moment the minister lit the pyre, the fake sage ran away to protect his life and never returned. The next story, The Merchant and the Thief. A rich old merchant lost his wife. He was lonely, so he offered another merchant lots of money to marry his young daughter. The merchant, though rich, looked old and bad with his grey hair and wrinkled skin. The young woman didn't like him at all. One day, a thief crept into their home in the middle of the night. The woman woke up, saw him, and clutched her husband. He woke up and was pleasantly surprised to see his wife clinging to him. He saw the thief and said, "Thanks to you, my wife's holding my arm. Take whatever you want from my house." But the thief laughed. "It is risky to steal anything now that you have spotted me," he said. "I will come back another time." The thief left. From that moment, the young woman began to treat her husband with love and affection. Next story, The Farmer and the Cobra. A farmer worked very hard in his field but earned very little. One day, he saw a cobra sitting on an anthill on his farm. He began to worship the snake as the god of the field. He bought him a bowl of milk and left it near the anthill. When he went to pick it up the next day, there was a gold coin in it. The farmer was very thrilled. Every day he would leave a bowl of milk for the cobra near the anthill. The next morning, he would be rewarded with a gold coin. One day, the farmer had to go to the city for some work. He left the task of feeding the cobra to his son. He also told him the secret about the gold coins. The farmer's son was a greedy man. He thought the cobra must be sitting on a pile of gold coins. He wanted them all at once. So instead of feeding the snake, he tried to stack him with a stick. The angry cobra bit him and he died. The farmer was heartbroken when he saw his dead son. He went to the cobra to apologize for his son's actions. The angry cobra replied, "We can't be friends anymore, as neither can ignore the pain." The cobra asked the farmer to never approach him. The next story, The Ant and the Fly. An ant and a fly got into an argument about who out of the two of them was stronger. The fly said she was stronger. "I am bigger than you, ant. I am always the first one to be wherever sweets are being prepared. I always get to taste them before anyone else. And I can sit on the heads of humans, even king." The ant replied, "I may be tiny, but I am wise. I save food in the summer for the winter. You have to look for food every day, and you get swatted by a fly swatter, whether it's winter or summer." The fly was speechless and accepted that the ant was stronger. See you in the next video.